I just want to emphasize the degree to which we are in serious times, and this is a really serious job. This is not entertainment. This is not a reality show. This is a contest for the presidency of the United States. And what that means is that every candidate, every nominee needs to be subject to exacting standards and genuine scrutiny.
That was President Obama earlier today talking about Donald Trump at the White House. Joining us now is someone who doesn't much care for the remaining presidential candidates, and he's calling for a third-party alternative. Bill Kristol, editor of the Weekly Standard. Bill is in our Washington bureau, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Mark.
What separates Republicans like Dick Cheney from Republicans like you in terms of willingness to stand with Trump?
You know, I guess just a different judgment of whether he has the character and temperament and judgment to be president of the United States. I don't think any of these issues is really a showstopper, these policies. Obviously, we're all used to, if you have to vote for one of two presidential candidates, to compromising on issues that one cares about and making, choosing the lesser of two evils and all that. It's just for me, and I think this is true for Mitt Romney, and I take it for the Bushes, for Ben Sasse. He's been eloquent in this. I just think Trump doesn't meet the basic standard of, as I say, character and judgment for presidents of the United States.
Bill, I'm not trying to pick a fight between you and Dick Cheney. I'm just using you two as examples, and I'm not. Yeah. I'm just confused at sort of a sociological and human level. Like, you have great respect for Dick Cheney's judgment about people's character. So I do,
but I would say
I'm just confused. Is that really it? That you're looking at the data, and Cheney says this guy, Vice President Cheney says this guy has the character to be president, and you say he doesn't? How could that be that you'd reach such a fundamentally different conclusion? Since in general you'd be inclined to endorse the Republican nominee.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be happy to come on with Dick Cheney. We could have a very civilized debate about this, but I don't expect that to happen. I would say one thing. I think elected officials, former elected officials, like Dick Cheney, they lean more heavily, or they're more presumptively likely to endorse the nominee of their party. They've done it a lot of times, and people they knew privately were not really great, but they supported this person running for Congress or that person running even for president, I suppose. I'm not elected. I haven't been. I don't expect to be elected to anything, and I suppose I maybe have a slightly, different standard in that respect. I'd say, but I think you guys captured it earlier, and you're just back and forth. I've had the same sort of mental back and forth myself. Should one be surprised that, Bush, the most recent Republican nominee, the Republican Speaker of the House, the previous Republican president, aren't supporting the Republican presumptive nominee? Yes, one should be, as Mark was saying in particular. But as I think John was saying, on the other hand, or maybe John was saying that. Anyway, Mark was saying, the other one of you was saying that. It's like, I can't see you, it's just the audio. So hard. Was correctly saying on the other hand, he's picked up an awful lot of people from Mitch McConnell down through a range of senators and others, and I guess with Cheney as well. And is it more impressive that this number of people who don't think well of Trump are endorsing or supporting Trump, or is it more impressive that you have a presumptive nominee who doesn't have the support of the Republican Speaker of the House, the former Republican presidential candidate, and all that, which is pretty amazing, I would say.
Bill?
The one other thing, So anyway, we'll see how this plays out. I think it's very much in flux and very much of a mixed bag at this point.
Bill, when you think about Donald Trump's temperament, which you say is basically what's disqualifying in your view in terms of him as president of the United States, what's the piece of evidence that you most seize on? The thing that he's done or said that stands out most to you, that says that a guy who did that, said that, acted that way should not sit in the Oval Office?
Her temperament maybe is even too mild. I would even say character. Well, just look at the few days before Indiana, and I thought this might hurt him in Indiana. It didn't, so the voters here are on Dick Cheney's side, not on my side. You embrace the endorsement of a rapist, Mike Tyson, a man convicted of raping a 17-year-old girl, and you don't express any, when it's pointed out to you, you don't say, yeah, well, that was horrible, and I didn't mean to, I think of him still as a heavyweight champion, and, I deplore that. He doesn't even say that, right? He just say, I like toughness. Mike Tyson is tough. On the day of the Indiana primary, he spins this conspiracy story from the National Enquirer, which his friends probably put in the National Enquirer, about Ted Cruz's father being complicit in the assassination of a president of the United States. Not a little thing. No evidence for it, needless to say. Ted Cruz denies it, as he has to, as he properly should. And Donald Trump keeps on saying, well, no, I don't know. It could be true. It hasn't been denied by anyone. I mean, that level of just, willful disregard of all facts. I'd say willful disregard of all decency. For me, the one thing, though, if you ask me, like, what really, when I wake up at 6 in the morning, just the kind of thing, it was the mocking of the disabled New York Times reporter, which is such a humanly grotesque thing to do. And then he just lies and says, I didn't do it. So it's a combination, I guess, of the bullying, the lying, the just reckless disregard, as I say, of facts, out of prudence, to use an old-fashioned word, for a possible president. Again, if you want to have a congressman who's kind of a buffoon and kind of reckless and pops off a lot and says things he shouldn't say, and you think he'll vote right, fine. I mean, he's a congressman, right? What damage is he going to do to the country? And Commander-in-Chief?
Bill, I say this not as a question, but just as a punctuation, and then I'll ask you a question, which is the person you just described is Dick Cheney and Mitch McConnell's candidate for president of the United States. That's the position we find ourselves in. So this new idea of stopping Trump and stopping Hillary Clinton by finding someone who can win 6 states big enough to keep either of them from getting 270 electoral votes. We've been playing with the map today, and it seems doable. Somebody just has to win 6, medium-sized states, not the mega states, but Florida and Ohio, 2 mega states, but then Virginia, North Carolina, Colorado. You win those, you might be able to stop anybody from 270. If you could pick anybody in the country to do that, leaving aside whether they'd be willing, who's constitutionally eligible, who's someone who could pull that off with the right money?
Yeah, I think someone like the person I did have conversations with, I think it's been reported, retired Marine General Jim Mattis, who I think could have run a very impressive campaign, a very impressive man, as a genuine independent. He's more liberal than I am on a bunch of issues, which frankly probably would have helped for the particular strategy you're talking about. I think there's even a winning strategy, honestly, which is premised on a long shot, obviously, that the independent candidate takes off some. There's a debate. 3 of them are on stage. A lot of voters see them together in October. This candidate would have to be at, 12, 15%
okay, but
at that point to get on the debate stage. But Mattis said no. Well, you asked me anyway, so I'm saying. So Mattis said no.
So now that Mattis is out, we got 20 seconds. Name somebody who could do it, who might do it. Is there anybody?
Ben Sasse or Mitt Romney. I was with Mitt Romney last night, and I think he's thinking about it seriously. Or he could be Ben Sasse's campaign co-chairman, he and Joe Lieberman.
All right, those are 2 good names.
A young guy
Bill,
on the stage.
We're going to have you back to talk about the Romney option, because I agree with you.